Good morning, everybody. I hope you're doing well. I thought I'd do a little quick tour of the bog area, if you will. It's not really a bog just yet, but I'm working on it. And these are the sundews. I don't know if you remember from the video that I made probably, I don't know, 3-4 months ago. It could be a little longer than that, but I talked about the sundews and how I was going to be taking rooted cuttings and leaf pullings and try to get this thing a bit larger. And so I wanted to go through it today. There's something really cool and really amazing about growing carnivorous plants outdoor in a sort of bog setting like this, because you get to see a whole ecosystem that you don't normally get to see. And so I want to walk you through that and give you a chance to see that as well. And let's just look at it together and see some of the things that are happening. First thing that's happening is the filiformis are starting to come out of their dormancy. And as you can see here, the hibernaculum is finally taking off. And see this one right here, see if I can get it to focus, is just crowning and starting to come back to life. And so that's super cool to see all this new growth headed in the spring. We're still a couple months away, but here in Florida it gets warmer earlier, and so things are getting started earlier. The little tiny Venus flytraps are starting to come back alive. My big Venus flytrap over here is not yet quite there, but look at the size of that trap. I don't know if the camera does it justice, but that is an enormous trap. And this is just a typical from Lowe's. I've even got Madagascariensis out here, and it is doing very well. Well, it's doing okay. Probably would be doing better inside, but I'm hoping with the summer and the spring with more humidity, it will do just fine. That's a Citicinea hybrid, Citicinea, that is still dormant. Here's another Citicinea hybrid that is dormant. It did not go dormant until later, so it's going to be a little bit off from the rest of the plants, and that's okay. Now, here is a big forest of all different types of Drosera, and if I could just hopefully get you to see this, all those little black specks are flies. These things are prolific at catching flies. See all that? Pretty gross, but still absolutely amazing at catching flies. There's everything in here from Marston's dragons to Evans head to multifida extrema. I mean, you name it, it's in here. A large T-form, small T-form, New Zealand, it's all in here. And so as you can see, it's all starting to come to life again with all those extra bugs, and with the warmer weather, everything is exploding back to life. And see all that coming forth, so beautiful. Some more of the filiformis are starting to come back alive. This is a Tracii here, and so it'll get nice and large here in just a little bit. Let's see what else we have in here, but I just can't get over it. Look at the amount of flies on that. Isn't that insane? A ton of flies. I just love watching them grow. Now, most of these are sterile, and so the way that you get these to populate faster is through root cuttings, and if you do that, they really take off. Here is the next newest one. Most of everything in here, almost 100% of it, was from root cuttings and leaf cuttings, and the capensis are they just decided to come up. I didn't do any of that with the capensis, but all the filiformis and like the binatas are from leaf or root pullings. And you can just see everything going on here right up front. I had from my last video, you've got that Utricularia longifolia flowers looking beautiful. It's got another flower stalk here getting ready to do its thing. But what's really cool about bogs is just really getting in there and just seeing all the nuances and to see all the life that's coming forward. The spatulata are starting to come back to life. And then there's some longifolia in there. There's graminifolia, Utricularia graminifolia, that's blooming. You don't see that one bloom very often, so that's pretty neat. That is doing so out here. There is a clump of spatulata right there doing great. Starting to come back now that things are warming up. That's a cibulata Utricularia right there, zigzag Utricularia. All the capensis I also love just seeing the bog in the morning with the dew. Just really heightens that dew. Now this is a small binata flower, and again, these are sterile for the most part, but sometimes they'll seed, but it's rare. So one thing you can do is you can cut that flower stalk off and then cut it in sections, and it will actually produce babies for you too if you wanted to grow them from that. So just looking around everything. Next up is binata and capensis. And again, here's a bunch of binatas that are flowering. Sterile, but I mean, I could cut them off. It would help with the energy, but they don't really get bothered too much like a Venus flytrap would from that. But here is a bunch of capensis. This is the large form. It's flowering. This thing flowers profusely. It's already got 2 flower stalks on it. One that's here, one that broke here, and then a new one here that grew shorter for some reason. Could be the colder weather, but yeah, I don't purposely try to grow the capensis collection. That does it just fine on its own. And if I can get in there, you can actually see all those little tiny green spots? Those are baby capensis. And so they are very generous with sort of making their own way and spreading pretty rapidly. So if you do have capensis in your collection and you don't like having them take over, you're going to want to cut those flower stalks off. There's some more back here. See the babies? And these seeds will last quite a while. And so once everything warms up and the rainy season gets back here, there's probably 10 times the amount of seeds that have not sprouted yet that are in there that will be sprouting. So I just let them grow naturally, let the flower stalks go. If you don't like that, I would say cut them off. Their flowers are what's called a perfect flower, and so they have both the male and the female parts, and they have the ability to self-pollinate. And so that's what they'll do. They will produce a copious amounts of seed, and they have a very high germination rate or strike rate. We have some more longifolia in here. This one's about to flower as well, and so that's very exciting to see. Then you have an Adelaide down there. They do very well. I purposely put it down sort of in the bottom and amongst all these big pots because they do like a little bit more shade than most Drosera, and so they will do just fine down there. And again, with these capensis, this is Capensis alba. It's anthro-free, but you can see how it's got a ton of flies on them. These things, you always hear videos of people talk about how good they are at catching flies, but you can't really appreciate it until you see it for yourself. It is just insane. Here's a filiformis all red that is producing flowers. Now, there's 2 different types of, there's a Jersey red, and then there's an all red Florida, what's called a Floridana. And the Floridana is fertile. The Jersey is not, and so I don't think this one, I think this is the Jersey one. It's a little bit larger. Not looking great because of the dormancy, but it's starting to come out there. This one is probably not fertile. There is some smaller ones in here that look like trash right now. There it is right there. And you can just see the green coming out of the hibernacula there as well. One thing to take consideration, before we go any further, this is Dichotoma giant, and you can see it's starting to come out of its little tiny hibernaculas. There's one right there as well, and then there is one right there. Now these will get absolutely enormous, and so this is just a temporary. The Dichotoma giant will get upwards of 4 feet wide, 4 feet tall, and obviously that would take over this whole bog area. So so same thing with these other bananas, they will get enormous. So this is a temporary setup. I plan on having a much larger bog, but just cool to see. Sphagnum moss is doing very well. I did not think it would do well out here in Florida, but it has done very well. Now, things to consider if you are wanting to do something like this. This is not a sustainable solution for Venus flytraps. See that down there? What will end up happening is these bananas will grow to the point where it will not be getting enough sunlight to the Venus flytraps, and they will ultimately suffer from that. And so now in the Venus flytraps in their normal setting, they do have a little bit of tall grass that they grow in, so they can handle some of that. But if these things get really, really full, they'll really suffer. So I'll probably end up moving those once these plants get too large. But that's about it. How beautiful they are. So the Venus flytraps starting to come back to life, that new little growth. This is a really magical time of year if you own Drosera, and especially temperate Drosera. Just seeing everything springing back to life is quite an enjoyable experience. I hope you've enjoyed this quick little tour of this mini bog. I've got probably 2 to 3 times more of this that I'm growing out. The bog that I'm planting is going to be absolutely enormous, and the whole point is just so we can see this remarkable ecosystem sort of working the way it's supposed to outside, and just dealing with all the ebbs and flows of what it is to grow outdoors. I hope you guys have a wonderful day and a wonderful week, and I'll see you soon. Bye-bye.